gives me great pleasure to be here today amongst in such an august gathering and for such a noble cause, because it's very essential that such activities are encouraged and increase, because we live in a country, I won't talk about humanity because that's a very big thing, but we live in a country where whatever we do is not ever going to be sufficient. The need is so great that we will never be able to meet with that. But that should not dishearten us either, because every little drop counts, and whatever we can do must always be encouraged and made to strive that much more harder. And that can only happen if we show appreciation for those initiatives. The one big regret in my life has always been that I never got a chance to sit at Bapu's feet and learn from him, because I was born much after his murder. But what I was lucky about was that my grandmother and my father spent a lot of time in Bapu's ashrams, and while I was growing up, a lot of my growing up stories were incidents that they had with Bapu in his ashrams. And now as I grow up, and I like to think I'm getting wise, and I have the wisdom, so I understand why those stories were being told to me. Now I can understand the meaning that they wish to impart to me. And so whenever I get a chance, I narrate a few of those stories and share them with my audience, with the hope that the way they have benefited me, they will also benefit those who listen to these stories. And so today I'm going to narrate a few stories which are pertinent to the subject of this evening. The first one that I would like to narrate is that many of us have this desire to do something good, and we have the solutions to all the problems, or a lot of the problems that are present in our society, and we want to go there with a lot of evangelical zeal to solve those problems. And this is one of those cases. A very ardent follower of Bapu, who was a big businessman, his son had gone abroad for higher studies, and on his return he expressed a desire to his father. He said, eventually I'm going to join your business and work in your business, but I want about a year or two, because I've come back and I have this passion to solve issues of our nation. I want to work to resolve issues of the nation. I want to use the education that I have got from abroad. So the father was very impressed, and he said, it's good, and who can be a better mentor for him than Bapu? So he took his son to Bapu, and he requested Bapu. He said, my son has this desire, and I wish that you will mentor him and you will guide him on what he should do. So Bapu said, okay, let him be with me. I'll talk to him, and we'll see what he can do. So Bapu talked to the young man, and he was very enthusiastic, and he says, Bapu, I've come back with high quality education, and just point the way, and I want to change things for India, and I want to use my education for it. So he said, okay, as the beginning of your work, I want you to stay in my ashram for a month, and during that month I'll mentor you, and then you can go out and do work. So he was overjoyed. The young man was overjoyed. He said, what better qualification than spending a month with Gandhi on his ashrams. And so he stayed there. Next morning he came to Bapu and said, can we begin the lessons? So Bapu said, lessons can wait. You start working from today. So he said, give me the order, what do I do? He said, you go and clean the latrines. the toilets of the ashram. Now in those days, the toilets of the ashram were not flush toilets. They were bucket latrines. So there were pits and there were buckets. And after some time, the bucket had to be emptied so that others could use it. So you had to carry the buckets and empty them in the cesspool and come back and put them. Pretty disgusting job. But this young man, because he said, now I'm working with Bapu, I have to obey his command. So he did that job for a day. The next day he asked Bapu, what can I do? He said, just go ahead and clean the toilets. That went on for a week. After a week, the young man said, can I do something else? Bapu said, no, just keep cleaning the toilets. This went on for 1 month. The young man was patient enough and obedient enough to do that work. 1 month later, he came to Bapu and he said, Bapu, now I have understood what you have been trying to teach me. He said, I came back with the ego of my education and I wanted to change this nation using my ability with my education. And initially when you made me clean the toilet, I thought, this is this man's whim, let me humor him, and I did it. But then you continuously kept making me do that. And now I have understood why you've done this. Because now I know that there is so much that I need to do for this country, but the basic things are to start with what is most essential. Sanitation, cleanliness and all that. And now I have the realization that that is what I need to do and work with. And for the next 1 whole year, the man worked for rural sanitation. He went from villages to villages, creating these eco-friendly pit latrines and training villagers on using them and keeping them hygienic and clean and things. This is something that everybody who has this zeal for selfless work for society, we need to understand. Many a times we have this notion that we have the solution and we have to go and handhold the people and give them the solution because they are incapable of doing it themselves. And most of the projects where it is that doer-driven project where a person goes and says, I'm going to change this for you, I'm going to do this for you, and your life will be better. I have seen that most often those projects are not sustained. But the most successful projects start with a humble offer saying, I am here, what can I do for you? What do you need to do? And with a parlay, because that gives a sense of pride and honor to the person also. Otherwise you go and say, okay, you are very bad off, I am going to change that for you. You are still being patronizing. And the villagers are very sensitive about it. And I have noticed that in projects where people have gone there and lived with the villagers and understood what their capabilities are and what the pitfalls are that they are not able to cash in on their capabilities, and then just become a facilitator to overcome those pitfalls. Those projects have been much more successful. Many a times we are also glamorized by the result and effect of our work. We always want to do something grand. We want to do something great that we can showcase to the world, saying, oh my God, what a huge thing we've done. We don't realize that the crux of social work or working for the society is even being able to satisfy a single person. It becomes so much important. This is at the time when Lord Wavell had invited the entire Congress leadership, including Bapu, to Shimla to start discussing about giving self-rule to India. A very intense talks were happening in Shimla. And then they hit a hurdle. And they needed to take a break because Lord Wavell had to then negotiate with Jinnah, who was very adamant at that time. So he declared a 6-day break. He said, we will recess for 6 days and then we'll resume the talks. So some of the people, leaders who were living close by or in North India, decided to go home. Bapu expressed his desire to go back to Sevagram, Wardha, which was near Nagpur in central India. And in those days, travelling from Shimla to Sevagram meant a minimum of a 2-day train journey. So when he expressed his desire, Panditji and Sardar Patel came to him and said, Bapu, what are you doing? You have to travel 2 days to Wardha, and then you will have to travel 2 days to come back to Shimla, which leaves you with only 2 days in Wardha. Why do you want to take so much trouble? You'll be tired by the journey, you'll be worn out by the journey. Bapu said, no, there is a patient I'm taking care of, and I have left him in Wardha, and I would like to go back and nurse him, take care of him. This was Pandit Parchure, who was a leprosy patient, and Bapu had given him shelter in Wardha, and he was treating him with nature cure. So everybody told him, even his secretary and everybody said, Bapu, you will travel 4 days to be with him for 2 days. What difference does it make? How are you going to, you're not going to be able to cure him about that. And you're putting yourself into so much trouble. Bapu said, it doesn't matter. I am fit, I can travel. I can travel 2 days to go there, and I can travel another 2 days to come back. But the 2 days in which I will take care of him will make a big difference to him. He will feel the relief that you can't even imagine, that even those 2 days of care that I will give him, the difference that it will make to him is what is important to me. And that's why I will go, even if it means hardship for me. This is what many a times we do not give importance to. And we see things that, there are small things that need small efforts to bring relief for. But we feel that they are so insignificant a matter that we said, no, why waste time with that? We'll do something big. But what we fail to understand is the relief that we can bring to even that one soul, one person, or one family. Which is a very important thing when you want to do something good for somebody. Even bringing relief or happiness or a lessening of the hurt or sorrow of even one family is very, very important and very significant. But in our own grandiose ambitions, we fail to understand this. And so many a times things that we could do very easily but are very small in nature, we ignore doing and wait for the big opportunity to come. This will not help us. This will not be of help to anybody, because small things make a difference in a very big way in the long run. The last thing is a very general attitude that a lot of people have. They say, I have a desire to work. I want to do some good work. I want to do social work. Tell me what I can do. This happened with Bapu, one of his followers. They were a couple. And they wrote to Bapu, they said, we are going to dedicate our life to service. Tell us what we should do. Bapu did not answer that. They kept writing to Bapu. When they would visit Bapu, they would keep asking Bapu for his advice. And this went on. And after about 6 months to a year, they came back to Sevagram. And they complained bitterly to Bapu. They said, Bapu, for almost 6 months now, we have continuously asked you to tell us what we should do. We are so dedicated, we want to work for service of the nation. And you have ignored our question all the time. Why are you behaving like this? Why don't you tell us so that we can start working? Why are you wasting our time? So Bapu said, if you had the desire, the honest desire to work, you won't have needed me to tell you what to do. You just want to find an excuse not to do any work. So you're putting the responsibility on me. And then telling yourself that since Bapu is not instructing us on what to do, then we don't need to do anything. We'll wait for Bapu to instruct us. He said, if you really want to do work, there is more than enough work to last your lifetime in this country of ours. You won't need me to tell you what to do. So go out, find the work, and then do it and come back and tell me what you're doing. Because that will be the honest thing to do. Many a times we have that desire also, but we want people to tell us or our guru to tell us what to do. If you are going to be somebody who needs to hold hands and hold fingers to do something good, then basically you don't want to do it. You're just finding excuses not to do it. So when you have that desire to do something, find the first thing that is possible to do and do that. And start with that. And then automatically the chain will keep starting, because then you will keep noticing the things that we have to do. And that is where we must celebrate and congratulate efforts like this one that we are commemorating today. That they did not wait for anybody to tell them what to do. They saw a necessity, they saw a lacuna, and they filled that gap. They are not bothered about the numbers that they make a difference to. But eventually when they sit down, they will realize how many people and how many lives they've ended up changing. This is what Bapu's philosophy was all about. And what he told the first interim government of India, when the interim government was sworn in, the newly sworn in ministers went to meet Bapu. And they asked him for a message. They said, we are now starting a new phase of serving our nation. So give us the message, how we should work. And the message that Bapu gave them that day has now become popular as Bapu's talisman. And the message that he gave them, the ministers that day, was that whenever you contemplate doing something or you think of doing something and a question arises in your mind that whether what you intend to do is worth it, he said, visualize the face of the weakest of weak and poorest of poor person that you have ever come across in your life. And then question yourself whether what you intend to do will make any difference to the life of that person. Will that measure empower that person to himself or herself rise above their situation and make a difference in their life? Will it make them self-reliant? Will it make them strong enough to stand on their own feet and change their lives? Will it make them rise out of the darkness of illiteracy and hunger and make them productive human beings? He said, then if the honest answer to that question is yes, it will make a difference to them, then you must understand that what you contemplate doing is essential. It is important. If the answer is not yes, then you must understand that what you are doing is only for your own satisfaction. It means nothing. It is inconsequential in its effect on society. Unfortunately, that advice fell on deaf ears. And today we see how far removed we are from the India of Bapu's dreams, and how we have created a nation which is only nominally a nation. The disparities in this nation are so great that those who have beyond our comprehension too much, and those who don't, we can't even imagine the scarcity of their lives. And yet, both groups are the citizens of the same nation. A nation cannot survive with such disparities. It is only because the dream of a compassionate democracy has been lost in these years and ages of our democratic nationhood. And we are on the verge of a complete collapse of the idea of India. We must be very aware of this. And those of us who have time, it doesn't mean that we need money only. Bapu said that everything in life must be held in trusteeship. If you have wealth which is more than what you require, that wealth should be held in trusteeship for society. If you have intelligence which is more than what you require, that intelligence must be held in trusteeship for society. If you have time which is more than what you require for yourself, then that time should be dedicated or held in trust for society. And all of it should be utilized for the benefit of society, for those who are lesser fortunate than you. If all of us take responsibility and all of us take part in doing these things that are very essential and they are all around us. If we decide, many a times during our youth, we say, no, first we have to make our career. And then when we are making our career, we say, okay, we'll do it after retirement. And once we retire, we say, we've done, spent so much time in my career and I've raised a family, so I deserve to go to the garden every morning and laugh like a madman. So never do you get time to do work. It doesn't take much time. Even when you are building up a career, you can start with an hour a week. Even when you are working and raising a family, you can always spare a couple of hours a week. And then of course, if that becomes a habit when you retire, you will do much more work. So we need to take responsibility the way this bridge has taken the responsibility. We must be inspired by effort like this, because these are efforts that have been started by common people from within our society. That is what is essential. We don't have to have a huge big endowment. We don't have to have a huge big organization to do useful work. Just working to benefit one person at a time is also crucial and critical. Please understand that, and don't ever think of the consequences of work, and don't ever think that you are insignificant, because everything is significant. Every action is significant. And for those who have no hope, they say that in a dark hall, even a spark gives hope of life. Become that spark. Thank you very much.